Hi, welcome back to my next video, in which I'm going to turn a old colour gas cylinder into a log burner or patio heater, whichever you want to call it. And the first thing I do is obviously take the cap off, press the button, make sure it's completely empty. If it's not, you need to use the bit of gas up somehow, or there's a button inside there, press the button down, release the last little bit. I have somewhere, here we go, a little gauge that I can pop on, and if there's still anything in the green especially, I'll use it up. If it's down in the yellow, then I'll just empty that bit. But yeah, so first thing, empty the gas, and then what I do is use an angle grinder and just cut these 3 welds off here, just nice and smooth with the top of the bottle, sort of like that. And then you can get a pair of big pliers or something on the end of there with a bar. And again, let me see if I can find my tools that I use. I've got a long steel pipe that I put on the end of a pair of like Stilsons, I think they're called. Those large pair of adjustables. It's still really awkward. You've got to put something in the bottom holes here. I normally put a couple of long bars in there so that you can stand on one end and stand on the pipe at the other end, and it twists off just normal clockwise. What I do as well before I get to that point is no, start again. I undo that, yeah, and then I leave it empty because it still smells of gas even when you've emptied it all. And you undo the top, leave it outside somewhere safe, obviously, leave it to vent, and then usually 24 hours later, something like that, I'll fill it up with water right to the very brim, and then empty that out, just to ensure that you've definitely got every little pocket of gas out. Once I've done that, that's when I'll start to try and cut through here. What I use is an angle grinder, and then I've got very thin discs to cut through. It does take a few discs sometimes to get through there, but I'll cut through there and leave it a jagged hole. So what I'll do all that now, and I'll come back to you in a bit. So here we go. Like I say, I've cut the flanges off, the welds that have the handle, cut them off, and then I try and cut with the angle grinder, and then I'll cut these like slots so that I can elongate it. This is the pipe I'm going to use as my little chimney bit, so I'll put that on, get it centered, scribe a line around, and then start cutting. Yeah, like I say, I cut these little slots in, just makes it a bit easier to try and make that more like a round hole to which you can weld your chimney piece on there. So I'll do a bit more and I'll come back to you in a minute. What I'll do now is I put some tape around so that I can try and get the lines parallel all the way around the cylinder, and then I'll cut one line there, I'll start cutting the other line across there. Well, on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a centrepiece there and then a door on either side. So that's going to be a door there, solid piece there, and that'll be a door there. Hinges there, so this side opens right up. Hinges over here, so this side opens right up. So I've started cutting through here and here. That's where I'm going to go. So again, I'll come back to you in a bit. Right, I've got one hole cut out. There's the piece, slots in there. I'll obviously use that piece as the door. It's a lot harder to cut than you think. I've used 2.5 of these discs. They start off like that. Once they get to that size, you can't use them anymore. So 2.5, just to do that one door and the cutting the hole in the top as well. But I presume I'm going to use at least another one to cut the other door. And then you do need to cut some holes, slots in the bottom to allow air to get in from underneath, but I'll show you that when I get to it. But just so you're aware, you're going to need a few of these depending on the quality ones you get. Obviously these are relatively cheap ones, shall we say. So right, I'll carry on cutting. So like I say, there's the one door, there's the piece in the middle. I'm going to leave at the front just as a bit of strength for this end, because if you think from there all the way onto there it's about half, I'm just worried about the heat might sag at the front, so I'm just leaving one piece in the middle there. So I'll crack on with that. So as you can see, I have now put both of them completely off and made the hole. I don't know if you'll see a bit more around, and I've sort of had a go at welding with this. I've got a Panama 100 MIG, gasless MIG. It does create a lot of spatter. I've given it a quick grind down, and I am no welder by any stretch of the imagination, as you can see. But now I just have to get some hinges and weld the hinges onto these. Obviously, hinging across on that side for that one. That side, so the right up like that. It does create a lot of mess grinding and welding when it spatters a lot, so if you're doing it in your garage like I am, cover everything up because it gets everywhere. And some of the little, when you're welding with a gasless MIG, these little pieces that come off are red hot, and I've had the back door open, which creates a draft through. Oops. Right, I've not been working on my log burner for a while, so a little update. I can't remember what other videos I've done, but here we are. I've cut the two slots in. A bit hard to see because of the light in here, but yeah, I've cut two slots in either side. I've welded the pipe on. A little fire in there, it just helps with burning all the paint off, and then I'm just going to sand it all down. Then I've got to weld the hinges on for the two doors, which are going like that. So hinge on either side like that and that. Weld those on, give it a spray. I need to cut some slots in the bottom for airflow underneath, and I've got some grill that I'm going to cut out to put in the bottom, so it allows the wood and stuff to sit there and all the ash and embers to drop below. Just helps the fire burn a bit more if you've got a bit of airflow underneath, and that all helps with that. So I'm just going to mark up the hinges, sand that bit down and weld them on. Right, so I've welded on the hinges, as you can see, with my dreadful welding. Drill the hole and just put like a long nut and bolt as a handle on both sides, and give it a coat of heat resistant paint. As soon as that's dried, I've just got that grill thing to slot inside again, and as you can see inside, I don't know if you can see actually, I've got some slots, and then the grill thing will sit about 2 or 3 inches up from that. Let all the ashes drop down. So I'll let that dry, maybe give it another coat, and I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. There we go, all done.